Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I finally got done watching the first 3 episodes of Marvel's Ironheart show. They're releasing these shows in 2 batches of 3 episodes each, so next week we'll have the next 3 episodes, and then I guess that's it. Which is interesting, you know. Andor did the same thing, but they had much more episodes than just 6, so, you know, I don't know. I guess somewhere in the Marvel Disney Plus analytics, they've looked at this and said, like, this makes sense, I guess. You know, somehow. I don't know how it all works. Anyways, the first 3 episodes of Ironheart, you know, going into this, I guess the first thing for me is that we have known that this show was finished like at least a year ago, if not like 2 years ago. Like, this just feels like a show that was supposed to have come out a long time ago, and for whatever reason they delayed it. You know, look, Marvel is going through a transition period, hopefully. I mean, they've been struggling for several years now, you know, and we keep on saying, like, hey, they're gonna change, they're gonna get better, you know, and they have. I think sometimes Thunderbolts was really good, but their Disney Plus shows have been just more and more questionable, and I guess just forgettable is the word for me, to be honest with you. Having said all that, let's talk about Ironheart. So Ironheart, I actually enjoyed these 3 episodes, you know, decent enough. There are some, like, kind of weird, clunky things about, I guess, just the setup in general. I think from the offset, it's like Riri Williams is building this armor, right? And it works. It's a functioning armor suit. And she doesn't even have an arc reactor, which they make a point of, right? So I'm like, oh, this is amazing. She made an iron suit that works with solar and wind energy, and it's just functioning. That's pretty cool, you know? And she did this in Wakanda Forever, but they took that suit away. So that means that using MIT material, she completely had to rebuild it herself, right? And this show makes a point, be like, yeah, remember, she's like a super genius, and that's why everyone was after her in Wakanda Forever. Remember that? Which, first, it took me a minute to remember everything that happened in Wakanda Forever. I have not watched that movie since it came out in theaters. Not really a particular reason why. I just never got around to watching it again. So, you know, I just jump right into this one, and I'm like, oh, right. She found the underwater vibranium, and she could build like a tracker, and then she built a suit. Okay, yeah, I remember now. But I guess the weird thing about this setup is that, so she's built a functioning suit, and if you remember all the way back in like Iron Man 2, which, to be fair, in their, you know, in universe of the MCU, this was also like almost, you know, a decade ago at least, right? So Iron Man 2, they stressed how, like, all these other countries and all these other people are trying to build iron suits, and no one can successfully do it. And, you know, as the series has gone on, you know, as the MCU's gone on, I don't think we've seen anyone else be able to at least this successfully build one of themselves, right? So the fact that she has this, it feels like it should be a bigger deal in this universe than they're treating it. It feels like everyone's just so dismissive of Riri Williams. You know, like MIT, they kick her out of the school because she is selling other students' homework. She's doing homework for them, she gets paid, and then she uses that money to go towards the iron suit, right? And I guess my thing is, like, MIT should be helping her fund this thing, right? Because, like, it no other country's been able to do this. Like, and Tony is gone. You know, all you have is War Machine, and it seems like War Machine's retired or something. I don't know. There's supposed to be a War Machine show. Remember that? I don't know where that's at. But my point is, it feels like this should be a big deal that someone was actually able to build one, and no one's treating it like a big deal at all. She gets kicked out of school, she flies back to her neighborhood, she walks down the road with it in a barrel or in a wagon, right? And it's like, you know, people kind of like stare and they comment on it, but it's not like you know, like, where are the reporters? Where is, like, people are not freaking out about this? She built an iron suit. This is a big deal. But I don't know, to me, that's just where it kind of feels weird. It feels like the story said, no, she's supposed to be down on her luck, she's supposed to be struggling for money, and this is why she's gonna start doing crime with this group that she meets. And I guess they just have to force that to happen, because realistically it's like, no, she could literally run a she could run like a TikTok account, like any, you know, make up any social media account, and she could be making money off simply the fact that, hey, I'm a young influencer and I've managed to build an iron suit. Like that, like, people make lots of money just doing that. So the idea that she is being so dismissed that she has to turn to crime in order to build the suit, that just doesn't track for me. You know, it feels like, no, you got a phone, you can make a TikTok account, make TikToks of your suit flying around. No one else is doing that, so you become famous online instantly. It seems really easy of a solution, but whatever. Anyway, I'm nitpicking, I guess. Anyways, so yeah, she gets kicked out of MIT, finds these criminal gangs, or this criminal group. They basically try to recruit her because they need someone who's good with technology, and you know, she has an iron suit, so that helps with their missions, right? And really, it's just this guy who, he wears a hood, he can go invisible, but no one seems to have any answers as to, like, so what's his deal? Where's his powers come from? What's up with that? And they go on a couple of missions, and you know, she basically has to think her way through these missions because something always goes wrong, but she manages to barely scrape by and go through it. However, on their second mission, the guy's cousin ends up finding out that she's trying to now investigate what's up with the cloak, merely out of curiosity, by the way. Like, she's not trying to find out anything about the hood or the cloak because, like, she suspects something, really. It's just because, like, hey, we don't know anything about this guy, let me go cut off a little piece of the cloak and then I'll study it. Oh no, they found me. I guess I gotta fight this guy. And they're in a scenario where corridors are being suffocated, so he gets trapped in there and he dies. So she kind of inadvertently killed somebody, or at least left him to die. So that was interesting. And I guess my thing is, they're almost trying to play it as if Riri Williams is this morally gray character, but they're also, they're treating her as heroic, but she's doing morally gray stuff, but they're not acting as if it's bad, I guess, you know, like it's like everything's justified that she's doing, but when you really think about it, I'm like, well, no, she's doing a lot of bad things here. I think she's a bad guy. You know, and like it's kind of hard for me to tell. I'm like, is she gonna be evil by the end of this series? It's kind of how the Acolyte happened, I guess, where like she's just evil now, I guess. You know, so I don't know. Riri Williams, it feels like still kind of up in the air as far as where she's gonna go, because I think she's supposed to be a hero, but you know, she then goes to she basically blackmails this guy who turns out to be the son of Obadiah Stane, which is it seems like such a random, like, connection back to everything. You know, Obadiah Stane had a son this whole time, and he sells contraband technology that he stole from somewhere, or like on the black market, I guess, and that's just what he does. I don't know, it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's interesting, I guess. But anyways, she blackmails and bullies this guy to get what she wants, basically just stealing stuff from him, and he doesn't seem to have really been doing anything wrong up to this point. And then she encourages him to be like more assertive, and he kind of is starting to turn evil too, you know. So I'm like, Riri Williams is turning the son of Obadiah Stane evil, kind of, like she encouraged it at least. This other guy got left to die, but I guess it might have been self-defense, I guess. There's a lot of like stuff I'm starting to question morally about Riri Williams, but maybe that's the point. Maybe when we get into the, let's be honest, the Mephisto of it all, that'll all come back, you know. Maybe Mephisto will be like, yeah, but you kind of did a bunch of evil stuff, didn't you? So speaking of well, not speaking of Mephisto, but this whole thing, there's another part I haven't mentioned yet, and it's weird. So the first episode, she's doing this whole flashback of how, you know, she had this friend and her stepdad, and they both died in some random drive-by, and it's, you know, that's like her tragic backstory, right? And so when she's trying to design the AI for her suit, because she no longer has access to the AI from the school, she has to build a new AI. What she decides to do is she hooks up her brain to the computer, and it's able to scan her brain, and that's supposed to make an AI somehow. I don't know, I guess that kind of makes sense. Anyways, it basically taps onto the memories that she has of her dead friend, and so the AI is her dead friend. It's like her personality and all the memories that Riri has of her dead friend. It's everything. It's just her friend, you know, not really her friend, but it's her friend, right? And look, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional in any way, but if someone is not able to process the grief of losing a loved one, and then they suddenly accidentally build a digital copy of that person, and I don't know, it just feels like there's like layers to that where I'm like, Riri Williams needs to go to therapy. She needs therapy bad, because like this doesn't seem healthy, because this AI is now walking around and looking around like just like her friend. And what's even weirder, I thought her mom was gonna freak out and be like, hey, your friend died, this is not your friend, you know that, right? And even though she reaffirms that all the time, she's like, you're not really her, or she's gone, you're not really my friend. It's like, it feels like at a certain point she's just gonna start acting like this is her friend, you know. Even though, like, no, she's dead, she was a real person who died, this is just your memories. And I don't know, maybe a therapist would say this is actually good therapy somehow. I don't know. It just seems really messed up. The other thing is, she gets asked, like, well, can you make a copy of your stepdad then? I mean, you know, her mom asked her this, by the way, which I guess for me, I'm like, okay, so the mom needs therapy too then, because like, I don't think it's healthy to try to make digital copies of the people you've lost, almost as if you were replacing them. Like, just, yeah, look, they look like them, they sound like them, they're not gone anymore. And it's like, no, they're gone. This is weird. Anyways, she ends up not making a copy of her stepdad because she says something like, well, I don't even know what this AI actually is, because she kind of like passes out and then she wakes up and it's like, oh, I'm here. So it might turn out that there was something more nefarious in her creation. It wasn't just a brain scan, so that might end up being the case, because it really did end up being like she like fell asleep with the brain scan thing on, and she woke up and she's there, the AI is there, as her dead friend. So I don't know how that's gonna end up, but right now I'm like, this is either a Mephisto trick or this is like some weird psychotherapy kind of thing that I don't know. You might need someone more professional to dive into this, because it seems like a mess. The other thing is about the Mephisto. So the hood, we've seen hints. He's got the tattoos on his back. He's clearly got like some weird like vein body stuff happening to him. The more he uses the hood, the more it like becomes part of him, maybe. And yeah, we've barely scratched the surface, and he's definitely talking to some mysterious force when he's all angry at the end of the third episode. So it's probably Mephisto. And I guess I'll just say that like Mephisto kind of became this meme in the Marvel community because of WandaVision and New Rockstars and all that, right? It just feels like a very strange place for Mephisto to finally show up is in the Ironheart show, because it just doesn't seem like this has like the least connection to anything like magical or demon devil-ish at all. Like it just seems like so random to show up here of all places. But I don't know, I guess we'll see what happens next week. Overall, I like the show fine. I'm definitely questioning some of the morality of it, like as far as Riri actually being a hero, because I guess my thing is, the way that I've described Riri Williams, this is the kind of person that Spider-Man would stop. You know, Riri Williams going in the suit, committing all these crimes, and you know, even if she's just like, well, I'm just using the money to build my suit better for reasons, you know. I think she vaguely said something about like, well, firemen could use my suit to do stuff, you know. It feels like Spider-Man would be like, no, I'm gonna stop you. You're committing crimes, you know. And I guess that's kind of my thing about, like, when you think about the morality of a hero that they introduce, I just try to think, like, would Captain America or Spider-Man stop this person? Like, if the answer is yes, then you're like, well, then you know, like, is this person really a hero, or is this, you know, is this just some, you know, young 20-year-old who really wants to make her suit, so is willing to do anything to get money, I guess. I don't know. Maybe she'll become a hero by the end of this and stop the crime. Also, this group of criminals, how do I put this? It feels like the kind of really cheesy team of criminals that you get when you want to instantly make all of them feel like individuals, you know, like they all have their own different quirks, their own different styles. You know, they're all very quippy, they all got their own thing, right? It kind of feels like when, do you guys remember Stranger Things season 2, when Eleven ran off and she met that whole crew, you know, and one of them was crazy and the other one had like a giant mohawk, and then, you know, like everyone just had like a thing that was like, this is my personality, this is who I am, aren't I weird, aren't I a strange individual? That's kind of how this feels, you know, like these don't feel like real people, they all just feel like, you know, like I'm just playing a quirky character, look at my hair, isn't it crazy? Like, I'm just like, I don't know, none of you seem like real human beings. It's very strange. Like, honestly, Obadiah Stane's son is the most normal person here, and even he's like, you know, like this cartoonishly pushover guy, right? So I don't know, the crew is, let's be honest, they're probably gonna get killed off at some point. I imagine things are about to take like a darker turn once we get to the Mephisto of it all. I feel like the Hood is gonna turn on this whole crew, and, you know, whatever his actual plan is, whatever they're stealing all this stuff for, it's gonna end up being more nefarious, and then that's when Ironheart's gonna be like, okay, I gotta be a hero and stop this guy, because now we're actually doing evil things, you know. So we'll find out. But anyways, that's Ironheart, the first 3 episodes. It's fine, it's okay. I know that this one is the target of the anti-woke agenda, the, you know, the conservative movement on YouTube, the, you know, oh my god, it's a girl in an Iron Man suit, look how woke Marvel is. Like, look, are you not bored yet? Are you every single time one of these shows comes out, you gotta scream about how woke it is, and then you gotta make a dozen videos and talking about how, like, look at the ratings, they're horrible, Marvel is panicking, Disney is panicking, another Disney flop for Marvel, oh my god, the wokeness has failed. Like, you gotta be bored by now, right? You've done this hundreds of times across dozens of different franchises. Is it never gonna get old? Do you, like, god, that's so, I don't know. I have to imagine that a lot of people who maybe even you used to enjoy that kind of content when you were, like, you know, 13 and edgy, you know. But like, you gotta be over it by now, right? Like, this whole anti-woke thing's been going on for like almost a decade, or no, it's been going on for, yeah, a decade now. So come on, guys, like, it's not gonna stop. You gonna do this for another 10 years, another 20 years? It's boring. It's really boring. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Ironheart episodes 1 through 3. Are you even watching the show? Are you gonna watch the next set of 3 episodes? Where do you think it's gonna go? And yeah, is Riri Williams a bad person? Because right now I'm like questioning that. I'm like, I don't know. She might be kind of a bad person. And also this criminal group here, they feel like cartoon characters. They feel like caricatures, I guess. So I don't know. They're kind of annoying. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.